What's going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of American Grit. We have heart emojis everywhere, balloons. Everything is broken. We're going to get into it. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I knew you were going to play that song. I had a feeling. Oh my gosh.
If it wasn't like a fire hazard, I'd have my freaking lighter.
Right?
Hey. Oh, I'm like so heartbroken. Like I feel you. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through the entire show without dropping a tear.
It's a tough one.
Like
it's a tough one.
I know. I mean, I might lose my hood pass. It's okay.
I think you might have
because
you know
yeah, it's okay. I'm still a thug. But what I'm gonna tell you is, I'm really like straight up. I really was hurt.
We felt this
by
one.
this.
We
I
felt
felt
this
this.
one.
I was really in my heart. So yeah. But anyway. I'm your sensitive host, Lem Gonsalves.
There we go. It's a very special episode.
Find me at the Poet Saint all day, every day. Of course, I got my not so sensitive people, my goons over here that just tear people apart. TK Trinidad in the house.
What's up, y'all? My name is TK Trinidad. We are in the middle of my birthday season. It's week 3. You can go to my bio, donate to the Boys and Girls Club. I have a little charity event going on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and of course, my main man, A1 since day one, Mr. Ty Matthews.
What it do? Happy to be here. We had a very special episode ourselves last week.
That was
Gotta give it up.
Award winning right there.
It's always a different dynamic depending on who's here.
Anyway, I'm back now. Daddy's home.
Hold it down.
You guys will be no more unsupervised.
It was so funny because it's like, I didn't even know you weren't here.
Right.
And then he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm glad I'm not in that role. I can just talkish this whole thing.
The whole time. The whole time.
Hot then.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was mentioning about being heartbroken, we actually do have the most recently eliminated cast member. Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God.
Get dusty in
Need
here.
some water.
These dudes.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us via Skype, all the way from the East Coast, Melanie Mahanna. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it together, Melanie. I am. I'm feeling a little verklempt, but it's okay.
That's okay.
Can we just get to the straight? Are you talking to Herman? What's the deal?
Damn, right off
I like it. You
TK
go
just
right
gets to
for
the
First of
point.
all, happy birthday month.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I talked to Herman.
Oh.
Gotta leave it at that.
On a daily basis, do you get the good morning text? Do you send the good morning text?
You know what? There's you will have to stay tuned to get that answer.
Interesting.
More development.
All right then.
Okay.
Okay, I see. There's the screen is really small. Is someone with you? Possibly. Like I'm just.
Got that time frame.
It's like it's really tight.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't see anything else.
It's really tight. Is that better?
No, just joking. Just joking.
I mean, you can't say it, but your face is giving it away, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We're happy for you.
Yeah. Look at that. She's hiding.
You can't hide it. You can't hide it when you're in that glow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just gonna go on record but basically I am very heartbroken that you got eliminated. Just not that you got eliminated, because obviously one of my favorite characters on the show. I mean, I go back to the scene of you cutting your hair and how powerful that was. But just what you had been developing with Herman. And everything that was going on, the stuff under the house, and then all the way through to, the fact that when that happened, like he said, I love you, that was powerful. That was powerful. Yeah. I just want to jump really quick to that end moment when you did get eliminated. You know what? Just stop it. Just let me be on my feelings, okay? These people over here, these are goons over here. Don't listen to them.
It's okay.
I just want to go back to that moment. Like, what was the sentiment? Because obviously, you were like everyone else trying to, get out of that elimination. It did not pose well for you, and it was just a flood of emotions.
I think the first sentiment was like, what just happened? I saw Carla fall a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure what just. So it was just the shock of it, and then I was really excited to go into that elimination round with Herman. I felt awesome about it.
Really?
So first was just kind of like, yeah, because it wasn't a double elimination. It was single. So, we were like, all right, let's go in and do this, Yeah, so it was shock, and then you're not allowed to touch the contestant. Like, once you get eliminated, you're not allowed to say a goodbye or anything. And he kind of broke protocol and just ran over to me and hugged him. And nobody, including Cena, was going to tell him to stop. So that was pretty surreal because everyone just kind of was like, oh, what do we do? He hugged her. And then, yeah, he told me some kind things.
Oh,
And
man.
Hey.
You can't hide it, but that's okay.
And this was like months ago, so she's still affected.
Yeah, the glow.
Yeah.
yeah. And then
It's
and then I bounced after that.
Check
and
the
I was
defense.
gone. And I was gone. I was gone. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping, obviously, when I saw that, you all got sent in the way that it was done. I mean, I think, obviously, Chloe had a good strategy by doing so. I think as what she was doing had the power. I don't think I would have done anything different than what she did with what she did. What do you guys think about that?
I totally agree.
It makes sense. Yeah, she's not going after the strongest or the weakest. She's going, like she said, she's going after the glue that holds everyone together. Like it's such kind of a cerebral move, that no one really ever thinks about.
Right.
But it was an interesting strategy for sure.
And of course,
yeah, and she is so smart. You see it on the show where she's like, listen, I'm not consulting with other cadres. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go for the glue. And it was an honor. The conversation, of course, got truncated for the show, but she sat down right on my bed and talked to me, and I was really proud to be chosen by her. So nothing but love for Chloe.
So are you still so according to the bio, you're in New York. Are you still in New York? Or
I am.
okay.
Yeah.
So how long is the flight to Montana?
Where, like Bozeman or Billing? My uncle lives in Bozeman.
Billings.
That's a 5.5-hour flight to Bozeman. I know a couple people in Billings, Montana, but yeah.
All right.
It's nice there.
It's nice there.
No, what were your? I'm curious about. I'm always curious about people's kind of first instinct when they see the challenge that they're about to go into. Like what was that kind of knee-jerk reaction? Were you more confident? Were you worried when you saw the exact sort of specifications of the challenge?
Totally. So we walked in, and Herman and I kind of walked in together, and we were looking at it. And the moment I saw it was a balance beam, I said to Burke, I'm like, if I could have designed an elimination challenge for me, this would be it. Like, I have great balance. I was very comfortable on the beam. I was, I was really stoked that that's what it was. I do wish a couple fans have reached out and they're like, we wish you're gonna see this shift between like static and then like active elimination challenges, and the static ones are kind of the ones where you feel like the person like goes until they give out,
like what we saw last week with the
yeah. So there's kind of this back and forth, and so a couple people were like, we wish you were in one of those challenges because you would have never given up.
Right.
But no, I was really pumped when I saw it. I was like, yes, because some of the water was freezing. I was really like, oh, please don't let it be a water challenge, or so the fact that it was balanced, I was like, I'm down. Like, I was really excited.
Now, we did see, and you could help because we know how editing works. But when you were carrying the bucket, and of course the bucket spills out because it has the holes if they switch over.
Yeah.
And when you were carrying the bucket, it appeared that you were carrying the bucket over the beam, so the sand was going on the beam, which obviously would make it more slippery. And then we see you like take a couple of dips. One in particular where you're just like under the log, and I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
So did that play like we saw on TV as far as that happening?
That's literally that's exactly how it played. So I was using the sack, and then Burke Hannah had given me the advice, like, when you go in there, don't think. Like, I'm a very analytical person. She's like, you need to be a machine, and Burke will tell you exactly what to do. So that's what I did. I was like, I'm not thinking for this. And so at one point, he's like, all right, let's try the bucket. And, I really don't want it to sound like an excuse, but for some reason, I thought I heard Cena say, you have to have 2 hands on the bucket at all times. So I had no idea you could, and I was so focused that I didn't look to my right, because both Carla and Herman were to my right. I didn't see what they were doing. I could see out of my peripheral because Carla was right next to me, her falling, and I could hear Ricky saying, get back up. But, so again, I don't want it to sound like an excuse, like I lost, but I thought you had to have 2 hands on the bucket. So it was an incredible disadvantage. I carried the bucket with spilling holes and got my entire log sandy. So yeah, it was a fatal move.
And now see, when I'm looking at this, I'm blaming Burke, because I feel like, as your person that's supposed to be guiding you, he would see that and be like, oh, no, don't do that, make sure you carry it.
He's supposed to be your brain in that,
right, exactly. Scenario. Especially now you're saying that you basically were like, no, I'm just going to follow what he says and not try to think so much. And I really, and he even made a point, like, I think it was afterwards, like, oh, I can't believe, I don't know why she, and I'm thinking, like, wait a second, you should have been guiding her. And that's what I was thinking the whole time.
And even adding that kind of emergency bucket, waited way too long, because by the time it got down, by the time you added it, the sand was already seeping out. It almost, I know Cena wouldn't do that, but in other shows I would have definitely called foul play. Like, just for the storyline, it would have made sense to do that. But it just, where it happened is like, okay, there's no way of stopping that.
Especially seeing Herman do it.
Oh my gosh, he had a mound
he
by
did
the
it
time he was
immediately,
done.
right? And he's the one that was winning the whole time. So you would think, like, if he did that at the beginning and he's in the lead, then maybe we should do it at the beginning too. You know, and
well, just think of surface area, right? Like, I'm a teacher. Like, clearly, like, just hindsight, like, surface, like, you pour it in first and it can fill, right? Once you get lower, you pour it in, it's just going to go right down the hole, which is exactly what it did. So yeah, I mean, hindsight's 50-50, right? So
of course,
I really do believe that I left exactly when I was meant to leave. I was super bummed, but honestly, I can't picture it any differently. So
preparing for when individuals leave the show too, and for
say it again.
Preparing for individuals when they leave the show too, and for you visiting Montana and stuff like that.
Just will not let it go.
Oh, y'all are too funny. Y'all are not letting it go.
Just saying,
You know what? I'm really looking forward to. My teammate Chris is having a little
watch party
showing for say it again.
Oh, like a watch party to watch the episode.
He's having a watch party this Sunday, and Herman may or may not be in attendance, and I may or may not be looking forward to seeing him. So that's.
I mean,
that's all I'm going to say there.
Who was it? Was it Natalie that was telling us about those watch parties too?
Yes, absolutely.
You're not hiding it well, but we appreciate it. Also, actually, shout out to Sherman. I saw on Twitter that he actually signed a modeling contract.
Yeah. Sherman. I mean, Sherman's
Chloe
killing
posted it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. After he got let go from the show, or after he didn't make it through the show, he got signed to, don't quote me, I think it might have been Wilhelmina or
It is Wilhelmina.
Yeah, he got signed as a model. So,
no way.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, more impressive than that, I'm not sure if you guys heard about our Grit Cares initiative, but after the show, the girl that I met when I donated my hair, Treya Garvin, passed away before we finished filming. And so after the fact, the camp was really impacted. I came back. It didn't get shown, but I got to share my story about meeting them and about going to donate my hair. And earlier this year, we all decided, a group of us decided we wanted to go down to Savannah to watch that with the Garvins. And my castmates, my friends now, wanted to watch it with them. And so we put together this fundraiser paired with Cure Childhood Cancer. And Sherman, when I pitched the idea to him, he immediately just said, when do I need to buy the plane ticket? So yes, the Wilhelmina, like, so impressive. He's doing big things. You're going to see him, but he's a good dude. And I knew it from day one.
Wow.
Like, he's an incredible human.
And Chloe, when she was here, on the first episode, was saying the same thing.
Right,
Because
right.
obviously
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Because
he came in.
he did start to sort of get that villain edit, and luckily
Right.
that was dropped pretty quickly.
Right, right.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Absolutely.
Marie Antoinette on the live chat is asking, I'm wondering when we are going to see the wedding. I'm so serious. It's right here. I'm not even making this up. I'm just saying, somebody on the live
It's gonna be
chat.
like a spin-off show.
You know what?
American Grit, the
a
wedding.
I think that would be a good spin-off show.
American-
You guys stop. Well, John Burke, my cadre, just got married yesterday. So
There you go.
Nice.
Congratulations, Bert.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, congrats to that. Okay,
Yeah.
so anyway, you didn't answer the question.
I
But that's cool.
know.
I love how she deferred.
Nice.
Sean Burt got married, guys. Let's give it up for that. No, okay. I'm gonna leave it
Congratulations to
alone.
him.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah.
I want to kind of go back to the beginning of the episode, and
Sure.
we see how everybody is kind of. Reeling over the double elimination. Obviously,
Right.
that was impactful, and people were surprised. Carla beat out two guys,
Right.
which
Yeah.
was huge.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
so I love how they show you and Herman in your interactions, and I love how you go over to the green side to visit him. You're like, hi Herman, and it's just it was super cute. It was, which again,
I thought you weren't going to bring it up anymore.
no,
I'm just
I didn't
saying.
bring up
Immediately.
No, wait.
Thank you.
I'm breaking down the episode. This happened on the episode. You're bringing up stuff that is outside of that.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
newsworthy. People want to know.
But
Inquiring minds wanna know.
I'm just confirming my heartbrokenness is what I'm saying
Oh my
God.
because of how the episode went down. But there was a point where you actually got a hug from Burke. Which was huge. I didn't think it was
Yeah.
physically possible for him to do that because of how he was.
There's a heart there. There's a heart there.
And he's like, "Don't tell me." Like, I love how it's like, "Just keep this between us." In that moment when you were talking to him, obviously he pulls you away from
Yeah.
Herman, which probably didn't like. But he's talking to you and he's kind of giving you the advice. And take us back to that moment. What was that like with him?
You know what? I wrote about it on my Instagram about this very moment. The hug lasted no fewer than 5 minutes. I mean,
Whoa.
I was expecting a conversation like, "Shut up, do what I tell you," just like a typical Bert conversation. I was ready for that, and then he hit me with a hug. And when I say I could feel pain leaving my body, it was the most surreal feeling ever. I mean, he just hugged me, like he hugged my soul, and we talked, and I bawled my eyes out. I don't know the last time I've cried that hard.
Wow.
And it was a very cathartic moment. He said that under those aviators there might have been a little teardrop.
See, I'm telling you.
Knew it.
I mean, it happens. Thugs cry too. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I'm telling
listen,
you.
thugs cry, man.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
It's a real thing. No, I'm glad you said that because again, knowing how he is and what he said, trying to be emotionless, this entire time and be,
Yeah.
stiff-nosed. But I mean, obviously, I think everyone has that little soft side,
Sure.
and I think it was dope that you were able to pull it out of him in that moment and him react the way he did.
I don't think he's trying to be emotionless. I just think that,
Efficient.
I think he thought, which I also agree with. Well, my thought, which I also agree with, that
Agree with my
people,
thought.
I know people get coddled, and
Right.
you take for instance all these people who get participation ribbons. That's fine, but then you get into the real world and you've been coddled this whole time, and now when somebody's expecting you to do work, when there's no issues, just do the work. There's nothing kind of stopping you. I think it's not necessarily him being emotionless. It's just like him trying to figure out, like, are you the person who's been coddled, or are you the person who actually needs that 5-minute hug because this is a legitimate thing? So he's seen her work for a long period of time and he knows what she's about. So that 5-minute hug was deserving, and the timing was right for that.
So you think he's just trying to figure out, obviously, his people, who have
Right.
different personalities.
100%.
and
That
different
that
things.
couldn't be more true, and it's been so hard to bite my tongue when people are like, "What a jerk! What an a-hole!" Like all these things. But honestly, where I was coming from, just the journey that I was coming from, it was such relief to have someone who was clear with boundaries. You know, in this day and age, boundaries like don't exist anymore. You know, we can see everything. We can see into people's lives. So he came in day one and was like, "I'm not your friend. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not." It provided, like, it was so reassuring that he was our cadre. I didn't have to worry about pleasing him. I didn't have to worry about, like, does he like me? Does he like? He's like, "I don't like any of you. I do want you to do well. Let's go. Let's kick ass."
And sometimes you need that.
Honestly, I needed that. I didn't, you know, I didn't need someone to hold my hand. I needed someone to be like, "Yo, you're strong. Let's go. Let's move it." I'm sad they didn't show all the training that we did. I mean, he's an incredible guy, very smart, incredible leader, and the training that we did was fantastic. So
What sort of training did you guys do?
Say it again.
What sort of training did you guys do?
Oh, I would love to tell you about that. I had bone bruises on my shoulders
wow.
for a good 2 weeks because we carried something that Burke called the dog bone, which was this 200-pound log.
Yes.
That Team Burke just carried it all the time. Just wanted to go for other teams to just run around the track. You know, George Foreman would just be doing his walking laps, and Team Burke would be running with a dog bone on their
Yes.
shoulders.
Oh, wow.
I've been asking for this for weeks.
know?
I'm so glad to hear that because it just seemed like, okay, the mental challenge is great, but you know, put in some work.
No.
Yeah.
There was, not only were there physical, he's really good at, you know, it's why I think Hannah did so well in the, well, first of all, she's a great communicator, but why we did pretty well in the boat race. So for that challenge, Burke comes in the room, always abrupt. So we were always ready. And he's like, "Out and get all of your beds." So we, like, one by one carried each of our beds out, had to be blindfolded, and then we're diagonal from each other, or across from each other rather. And so we're doing this drill where one partner guides the other one blindfolded through the field and not having to hit any of the beds and coming right to that person. That probably sounds really confusing, but Hannah and I are partners. We're across from each other, and so we're having to navigate. So Burke turns to Hannah, and he's like, "Melanie, da 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 da," and she's like, "It's Hannah." He's like, "Your name is Melanie if I say your name is Melanie." So then he's looking at her and saying, "Hannah," and so I don't move, and he's like, "I said Hannah." I was like, "Oh, right, because now I'm Hannah." That's what he would do, and so you got really good at, like, yo, if my name's Hannah, my name's Hannah. Like, and I'm listening to that, and that's what I'm working with. So just like a bunch of drills like that, but all, very physical stuff as well.
Nice. Speaking of Hannah, there's a Hannah, I think it's the same Hannah, but I'm not sure. Hannah Bertera, she says, ask Melanie who her favorite teammate was.
Hilarious.
Okay, she's the cutest thing ever, and she knows the answer to that.
She just wants to hear it.
Yeah, I mean,
basically.
it looks like the same Hannah, different last name on Fox, but I'm assuming
Right.
it's the same Hannah. But shout out to Hannah for asking the question.
Absolutely.
Love you, Hannah.
Yeah.
I love that chick. I love her.
There was, in the challenge, I thought it was an interesting challenge. And I'd love for you to chime in on this because, you know, you had to choose. It wasn't straightforward, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it consisted of, from what we saw, which still was a little confused, but you unscrew these pieces of puzzle,
Right.
And basically you have to spell out a word, and there's 3 different words that you can spell out, and depending on what you're going for, there's certain rewards with that.
Right.
And so we see that Team Chloe had the fewest people. She had 2, which ends up taking it, and they spell love
Right.
to see their loved ones, and the other one was power, and then you had money.
Right.
Which one was your team going for?
Love. We were going.
Oh, you were going for love. Okay.
How
okay.
many weeks have you been on the Blackberry or the ranch when that challenge happened?
3.
Oh,
I think
okay.
3.
Uh-huh.
I guess maybe I'm just an asshole. I'm gonna pick love. I'm like,
It hasn't been that long.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering about that.
It hasn't been that long.
It's like, I can hold it out.
You know, what about maybe 4? Would that make it better?
no, because the show's what, like, how long would, like, the last contestant? Maybe 7, 10 weeks.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, an extra $1,000 would have been. I might have.
I would have picked the
power.
team SWAT.
Yeah?
The power.
Yeah,
The power.
because $1,000.
I was shocked
you can
that
go
no
to
one
strip club and
picked
do
that,
that.
to be honest.
She's going to strip. Okay.
Sorry, what did you say, Melanie?
Go ahead. Don't mind this one over here. She's on
What
one today.
was that last thing that you said, Melanie?
I was just saying that I was shocked that no team picked Power.
Yeah, right? But
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about that, and you got to think, even if you had swapped people out, like, you don't know what the dynamic might be. Like, you could be screwing yourself even
Sure,
more. You know?
exactly.
Well, it's
So true. Yeah.
It seemed like the letters, like it was more of when you laid it out there, what word can you spell the quickest?
The quickest.
And I think that's kind of what that's why
interesting.
Love is the shortest letter.
yeah, love is shortest letter.
Shortest
So
word,
it made,
excuse me.
It made
yeah.
sense that way. Like it was a timing thing.
Right.
Right.
What was Melanie? What was your team's reasoning for picking Love? Like, did you guys all discuss it, come to consensus, and be like, "This we're going to pick," or how did they even come about?
Or was it what TK just said, where it was the easiest
Right.
word to spell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to say it's because I was, missing family, and we just,
Yes.
know,
Gangster.
we just
Yes.
are full of so much love, and that's why.
But no, it was the
Yeah.
easiest word to spell.
That's-
I thought
yeah.
about that because, I thought the reason why Team Chloe won was because they spelled the shortest word.
Right.
Because they only had
Yeah.
2 people.
And I
Right.
think, because they had the fewest amount of people, so
Right.
it's such an easy line of communication.
Sure.
You don't have voices overlapping with each other.
Right.
So now, like, did you before the show even started give the producers like emergency contacts, or how do they know which
Yes.
loved ones to contact? Was it the emergency
Yeah,
contact?
yeah. So my brother actually got the call
Oh, okay.
and was like, "Hey, Melanie's going into a challenge. Be ready to fly out and visit if she wins."
Oh, wow.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
That'd
See,
have been
I
dope.
always thought about that because I want to be on the show, and I was like, I wouldn't want a loved one. I would want. There's this motivational speaker by the name of E.T., the hip hop preacher. He like
Yeah.
yells at you the whole motivational stuff and like screams at you but preaches at the same time. Like I would want that dude
You'd want him
What?
to come?
to come and see me.
world?
Yeah.
As
I
opposed to
love
family?
that.
Yeah,
You know what?
because
I should put down
family,
Michelle
like-
Obama as my emergency.
Oh, yeah,
contact.
that
would
was-
have been.
Hell yeah.
That's like you are. That is
So many
Listen, I
inspirational.
like the way you think.
Yeah, I think we're on the same. Yeah, I like that.
Well, I mean, I think it ended up boding well for the red team because they're both mothers,
Yeah. Mhm.
and so they did get to see their children, which I'm sure even 3 weeks is a long time, or 4 weeks if you have a child and missing your child, especially if they're young.
Right.
Like, what was her child was
Allison's baby
child
is
was
like
yeah.
8 months.
Yeah,
Oh.
like so she
Yeah.
just had him,
Yeah.
and so or had her Haley and her husband Wally, and she just booked. She was just like
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It
She
was so sweet
Yeah.
them seeing their yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then Janessa's kids and mom came. Janessa hadn't seen her mom in 3 years.
Oh wow.
Oh,
So it's-
wow.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was really powerful.
And there was a big that we saw a big reaction from Gigi. She got really emotional because, and again, if I saw this right, because
Yeah.
she doesn't have family to go to or that would come, and she felt like the reason why she was there was to maybe find an essence of family.
Interesting. Okay.
It sounded like she just didn't have. It sounded like she did have family, but she didn't have friends or family who would actually do that.
It would be close enough.
Yeah, like they
oh
would
yeah,
call
yeah, family.
Yeah,
of
they would
course.
call her friend like, "Yo, can you come down?" Nah,
Right.
I'm
Nah, I'm
shopping
good.
today. Like,
Right.
call somebody else. Like
Sure.
that's what it sound like.
That's what I was kind of getting. No one, that's what it is. No one close enough because
Yeah.
obviously you have a mother, father, when
Yeah.
they're
Sure.
deceased. But were you around when that happened? Did you see her, or was that just something that happened away from where you were?
I was sitting right next to her. And I kind of tapped Herman's knee and was like, "Hey," and he went with her, went back to the green cabin, and they talked. And I don't know if I don't want to say too much because I don't know if it'll be shown at all. But I actually went back to the cabin and wrote Gigi a letter about chosen family and gave that to her. So I don't know how much I can say about that, but Gigi now has people that if they were to be called would drop everything in their life to go.
Nice.
And,
That's awesome.
And
That's really
yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
Michaela Burke asks, what did you learn about yourself through the show?
Ooh, great question, Michaela. You know what? I think I learned that I've never been so vulnerable in my life. So you guys have seen me cry some of this more than like some of good friends of mine. And so I think I learned that being vulnerable doesn't mean you're weak.
That's right.
And not only that, it's pretty. I cannot curse. I have a really horrible mouth. It's pretty healing to be vulnerable, to have a good cry, and then to wake up and be like, whoa, I feel a lot better. Like this weight is off my shoulders. So that's probably the biggest thing that I learned, is that like to ask for help and to be vulnerable and to share doesn't mean you're weak.
Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah,
answer.
that's incredible.
That's a good
Absolutely.
answer.
When's the last time you cried, Lem?
Just count cutting onions count like this because that was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
I mean, I feel you on that, and I feel that you know, as fellow thugs, like it's important that we are able to show our emotions when it's necessary. You know, like we can't be hard all the time. I mean, you saw Burke, like he found his, and you said thug tear came out underneath the aviators, and
A little one.
It was a little one, and it was, you know, necessary for the moment. I think, you know, we can't be showing our emotions all the time,
Right.
but when they're necessary.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I agree with that sentiment that, yeah, you should. Vulnerability is strength. Actually, it's strength. Leaving the body and going and spreading its wings. That's what I feel
How many
like.
times around the block
I
are
love
you
that.
gonna go
So
without saying the answer?
I just gave the answer.
Absolutely.
So,
There you go.
That's
There
a
you go.
beautiful answer, actually. It was poetic. Poet saint, follow me.
It was really poetic.
So,
I hope someone wrote that
yeah.
down.
There you go.
It'll
There
be
you go.
it'll be on YouTube.
Snaps.
We're just gonna leave it out.
One thing I really wanted to talk about in this episode is everything between Richard and Carla.
Oh, yes.
And I wanted to get Melanie's thoughts on that, because Richard, he makes a point that, you know, he wouldn't be completely torn up if he had to go home.
Right.
And his teammates are not happy about that
At all.
They see that as him wanting to go, him giving up. I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
I thought that was a big old overreaction. What y'all think?
Same.
I didn't think I didn't see it as, and he even kind of confirmed. He's like, no, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
And he
He
even
said he
like,
found his grit.
He found his grit. He's just saying, like, if it was me, I won't be heartbroken because I feel like I
Right.
found what I was looking for.
Right.
Not that like, yeah, send me home. I'm ready
Right.
to go.
Right.
And I think
Exactly.
Carla was just looking at it because, I mean, and Melanie could probably help us with that. But Richard, yes, it doesn't seem like he's always done his best or maybe helped his team out the most that maybe he could.
Right.
So Carla's looking at that. She's already been in the challenge, came out in elimination challenge.
Right.
Came out. She's been a very strong competitor for her team.
Yeah.
And then you see that, and then you see him make that statement.
Right.
I could see how it would garner that reaction from her to be like, dude, what's up? You
That was
know?
all hearsay, though.
Yeah.
That was that game of telephone.
Yeah, well,
and
that
then
too.
and then to throw shade on it while you're cooking, you should just
You know?
like went to
Right.
him and said, "Look, this is what I heard."
I was so
Right.
mad on
Yeah.
his behalf. I'm glad he stepped up
Oh
and
my
shut it
gosh,
down.
that was so good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, and two, and Melanie can attest to this. I mean, you're in this environment with all these cameras. I mean, and it's not real life. So,
Right.
in the sense that, yes, the game of telephone is huge in those. I mean, we've seen that happen. So and so said this, what? And you see fights happen, and
Right.
Right.
people get all bent out of shape and stuff like that. So, I think he did handle it well. I
very well.
didn't think that he was ready to go home.
Right,
I
right.
think Carla was just jumping to that.
So yeah, Melanie, what were your thoughts on this whole?
Literally, I have nothing more to say. You guys just said it perfectly.
That's what
No,
we do.
genuinely.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why
I would add if there was something to add, but it's incredible. Like, even though you guys see so little of it, like, you just said it, you just hit every point.
And I always worry on that point. I always worry about what we might not be seeing. You know?
Right. No, and it's been amazing. I was, because you go and have the journey, and that's incredible. And then you're like, oh, right, now the editor's room. What will be,
Right.
Yeah. So, no, but that was dead on.
So
It doesn't seem like a lot is being like left on the cutting room floor. It seems like we're getting most of people's genuine stories.
Right.
Yeah. I've felt that way. Yeah.
Do you, I mean, you kind of answered it as far as what you got to show, but do you feel like you know, in your tenure on the show, do you feel like you got what you were looking for being on the show?
Yeah, I got that and more. The friendships that I've made have been, you know, just really incredible. The healing that I was able to do on that show, you know, something that never made it to air was George and I were very close on the show. He just, like, day one, I was like, this dude's like my brother. We're gonna bond. And we had really great conversations, and I've actually gone to visit him in Humble, Texas. I've been on his ranch. I've ridden horses, and yeah, the relationships that I have built there, the trust that I learned to have again. It changed my life. You know, not to be cliche or to be dramatic, but I'm a better person because of grit.
Word.
That's awesome. Absolutely.
Hannah says, our teammate Chris made Melanie a Chrisadelia for breakfast on the day of her elimination, and I was hungry and ate it without thinking and then blamed it on someone else. Confession to Melanie.
Whoa.
Okay, so Chris is like a pun master. That's what he does. And so he made quesadillas.
Oh, quesadillas.
Quesadillas.
I love Chris more every week, I swear to God.
That dude.
Yep. And she is so amazing. I love that she just admitted that here. Like, that's such a Hannah move. Yeah, so I just, you know, you kind of are like not coddled by your team, but your team's like, what do you want the day of your elimination? And Chris was like, you want a quesadilla? And I was like, yeah, I do. So he made it, and come to think of it, yeah, I never got that quesadilla. But now I know why.
Now you know what happened.
Damn, Hannah.
Hannah got you.
She came
Hannah got you.
clean. She came clean. That's what grit will do to you.
That's dope. That's dope.
I love how she did on the live chat, because the live chat disappears as soon as the show's over.
Right.
So there's really no
Exactly.
paper trail.
Listen, yo, she is strategy. Like, people like don't sleep on Hannah. Like, that chick, like, she knew, I'm gonna admit it at this place where it disappears, and then I'm gonna say
What are you talking about?
that's Hannah.
Where's your
And then
proof?
she's gonna go, what? I don't know what you mean.
With her hair going back. Oh, that's so dope.
Oh my goodness.
Man, Melanie, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show and just, you know, sharing your story and letting us know what, before we let you go, is there anything that you're involved with right now that you want to, you know, put out and let the fans know that you're doing, that they could follow you? Of course, your social media, I don't know, but anything that you're doing now presently that they want people to know.
We're still, you know, part of Grit Cares, we're still raising money for Cure Childhood Cancer. If you look at mine and my lovely Hannah, I think Gigi Herman has it up. If you look at our bios on our social media, on our Instagram page, you can click the link, read a little bit about Terea Garvin's story, and you know, fans can donate. We've raised over $5,300 so far. So that would be amazing. But other than that, no.
Yeah.
Got nothing. Yeah.
When's the watch party? The one, is that next week?
It's this Sunday.
This Sunday.
It's in 3 days.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
3 days.
We will be live tweeting and doing all that.
Oh, there you go.
Live tweeting.
Yes.
We should get, so make sure you shout us out. We want some selfies.
We, of course we will.
Want some selfies
There you
of
go.
people that are there.
Yeah.
So we know, you know, what to talk about next.
Sure. Well, Gigi and Hannah will both be present, and they're the selfie queens. So
Okay.
I will make sure to pass on to do a little tagging of, you know, BuzzFeed TV.
We would love
so,
that. AFTERBUZZ TV.
But yeah, AfterBuzz.
TV.
AfterBuzz. Sorry.
Yeah, AFTERBUZz. We'll care about that other stuff. It's all good.
Y'all, it is midnight.
I know
here.
it's
Like,
late.
I'm
It's very late night.
Listen, as a fellow thug, I was just gonna say, listen, we need our
Keep it
sleep,
real.
and I know it's late over there, so we're giving you all the passes. All the passes are happening.
God
I'm
damn
just
it.
saying, like that's what it is.
Who crowned you as a thug, though?
It's all, but you know what? I have tattoos. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about my licensing. Quit trying to check my credentials. Okay. Anyway.
Let's see that thug tag.
Right. Melanie, thank you so much. You know, I don't. So I'm glad you do. So, yeah, to deal with this trash every week.
Every week.
Melanie, thank you so much for being on our show. Before we let you go, let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
just Melanie Mahanna on Instagram and Twitter.
Boom, there it is.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Melanie!
Thank you guys so much.
We
Yes.
want invites to that wedding, by the way.
Yeah.
Of course, absolutely.
It's a Burke's
Yeah.
wedding.
Yes, exactly. that I already had. All right. We'll see you later, Ellie. Till next time.
See you.
All right.
You okay?
So,
you
yeah, I'm good.
you
I'm
feel
great.
like you've been through a war or something. Like,
Because somebody's fighting me. Maybe that's why.
It's an uphill
don't
battle.
She's still talking like, she was still talking. I don't know what she was saying. Just, shit, the angle and everything.
Oh, shit.
She was probably talking about her thug credential.
Of course.
That's
I
what
mean,
she-
that's it.
I mean,
You gotta-
what she was getting.
I mean, she did shave her head, so she doesn't need to show
That's
it.
I'm
really,
just
yeah,
saying.
that's kind of, yeah.
It's pretty
That's the
gangster.
number one
It's pretty
credential.
gangster.
Yeah.
I want to. Can we get? Let's see. What do I want? Let me see. I want. What is that thing that we do when we talk about?
Predictions?
Yes. I want prediction music right now.
Did you really? Okay. That's why we have a team here.
There we
work
go.
together.
There we go.
I was thinking like, what, mac and cheese? What you, ice cream? Like, what
I
you
was like, is he talking about predictions? Why didn't he just say?
It's also late for me. Past my bedtime. Yeah. All right.
It's
so
that thug life, though.
thug life.
bedtime, man. You know how it is.
You gotta
know,
get that thug
sometimes
sleep
You
in.
gotta get the sleep in. 12 hours. We need 12 hours over here.
to be a real G.
thug.
I mean, really 12 hours. Okay, so going forward, we see, kind of where it's going now. We obviously see, with Melanie gone, her being the glue on our team. I think it's going to be interesting going forward because, and I'm really Grady is still intact. He still has 4 people in his team.
Right.
And I
I
feel
feel like that's exactly what happened last season.
it
Is it?
is
Yeah.
exactly what happened last
Jesus.
team. And so I'm just curious, what do you guys think going forward, how the team is going to, because we see the cadres start going in on each other too.
Right. And that's the thing. I think the thing that we've been seeing the past couple weeks, and I think the thing that we're going to continue to see, is Burke is going to get lost in this pissing contest with
Right.
Grady, and he's going to end up screwing himself over.
Yeah.
He's going to end up cutting off his nose to spite his face just to get back at
Yeah.
Grady.
Right.
Well-
he definitely has a vendetta.
Right,
against him,
right,
for sure.
right.
Well, there's a lot of different type of personalities. I can't remember if it was last episode or the episode before that where shout out to Chloe for that one time we worked out together. But she was saying that John Cena and the rest of the cadre, except for herself, would go and work out.
Oh, really?
And that builds
Camaraderie. Sure.
And she's like, "No, I'm not about that particular. I'm not about lifting and all this other stuff." So it's just kind of interesting. They might. I think some of them discount her because they figure that she doesn't do all the normal things or things that she should be doing, but she's just a different type of cadre.
Right.
So I think the guys have that opinion of her and they're kind of counting her out, and then the guys have those machismo stuff. So I think there's a lot of dynamics within the cadre that they're not taking into consideration. So that's going to be a big thing.
I think so. And she's already clapped back. So she's already shown herself nah, you try to come at me, I'm definitely going to come for
She's
you.
from Texas.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. I definitely think it's going to be, I think I can see that, especially Burke, because he's been very vocal about Grady stacking his team. He said this multiple times that we've seen. So he definitely is going to go after. I'm wondering if the other 2 cadres are going to, Ricky and Chloe are going to kind of go at him and maybe try to, not sabotage, but just maybe focus on getting his people, maybe, working together to get his people in there because, I mean, not only is it a strong team, but again, he has all 4 of his people.
Right.
Now, it could bode, and we saw this last season, as it got later in the season, more people was worse for you.
Right.
In some of those instances.
Right.
Because we saw when
This
it was,
last one.
right, exactly. This was a prime example. And I feel like the way things are going, these are not all strength situations. There's a lot of strategy, and there's a lot that if you have fewer people, it can help you.
Right, and that's the thing. Yeah, there's so many variables. Not
Right.
only what exactly the challenge is, but who exactly gets picked to go into it,
Right.
who their opponents are.
Right.
There are so many different variables. It's, I mean, you would think that maybe a kind of a gang up mentality might work, but it could also backfire.
Marie Antoinette says the next episode will be it's called Selfish versus Selfless.
Interesting.
Selfish
Okay.
versus selfless.
Selfless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means, but
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
we'll
I
see.
might.
We'll see
Probably
what
lose that
happens.
one.
We'll see what happens.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's gonna. Sorry.
Oh,
The set falling apart already?
I was just making sure that wasn't your mic because
Yeah,
they have to hit the gangster. Like,
Right.
let everybody
I'll
hear
just
what the
pick it up
gangster
like
has
this.
to
Be
say.
like, what up? Yeah, this is how we know. Stop. Stop right now. No, I heard through the grapevine that it might be a double elimination again.
Interesting. Okay.
Next week.
Okay.
Just saying. So
Are you gonna be here next week?
I will be.
Okay,
Here we
just
go.
making sure.
Here we go.
I didn't know if we had to prepare.
No, I'm gonna be here.
No, I think
I'm never
we're
leaving you
gonna have
guys
the full
alone
squad.
again.
We're gonna have the
No,
full squad.
yeah, we'll have the full squad. You guys are not being left alone again ever. I don't care if I have plans. They're gonna cancel. I'll be going to Europe. Like, nah, I'm gonna come the next day
Gotta hold it
because I
down.
have to be here for these people over here. Yeah, nah, I'm here the rest of the time. Just please understand. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been our show. We want to thank you so much for tuning in. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. As always, you can find me at the Poet Saint all day, every day, and you can check out my website, stayonthemock.com. TK.
They should call you like Gangsta L.
Make sure to check those
Gangsta L.
credentials.
Yeah, dude, I mean,
Hey, you know, check them. Look me up. Google me. They're up there.
I think I said that to somebody the other day. I was like, you should Google me. Like, really.
Yes, you did.
I think that's the worst thing. Like, I feel like if somebody said that, I feel like I just want to kick him in the shins.
Actually, you know what? I'm lying. So I told somebody who's a close friend of mine. I was like, you really need to look up who, because I don't think you know who I am, because they live in a different state. I was like, I don't think you're realizing what's
what's going on here.
going on here.
Straight up
Yeah.
dropping, you know who I am.
Right.
On
Anyways,
people.
you guys can find me and know who I am on Instagram, all that good stuff, at TK Trinidad. We are in the middle of my birth season. You can find out what that's all about. And I'm also giving to charities, Boys and Girls Club of America and Canada. So please donate. That's all in my bio, tagline, all that good stuff.
You can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA. You can find me on the Lucha Underground After Show in just 1 hour, probably in this very studio. So just stick around.
Absolutely.
Keep chatting.
Gangsta.
And next week, just spoiler alert, we will have 2 guests in the studio.
Oh, say what?
Yeah, 2 guests with us, so you don't want to miss that. Until next
Pop it
week,
off.
peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.